In this video, I'm going to go through P1 and Chapter 5, and the first part is just GCSE revision. So this is a straight line, and you've got some coordinates that we need to, some vocabulary that we need to be sure of. The coordinate axis is referring to the x and y coordinate. The gradient is, of course, the steepness of the line. The slope is the direction of the line, so it's either sloping upwards like this line is and it has a positive gradient, or it's sloping downwards which has a negative gradient. The y-intercept is where the line cuts the y-axis, so this line cuts at y equals 2. The y-intercept will always have a coordinate of 0, y. In this case it's 0, 2, that's the coordinate. And the x-intercept is where the line cuts the x-axis, and it will always have an x-coordinate but a 0, y-coordinate. So that's the vocabulary. And using the above line, what is the coordinate of the y-axis, of the y-intercept? So we've got 0, 2. What's the coordinate of the x-intercept? We've got -1, 0. And the gradient of the line is the distance in y divided by the distance in x. So the distance in y is the vertical distance. You must pick 2 points on the line, and those 2 points on a coordinate grid, they have to be on an edge of a square. So what you can't do is choose a point here, for example, which is in the middle. To be able to count the squares, you need to be able to choose 2 points where the coordinates are on the edge. So the distance in y, well, I've gone from 6 to 8, so that's a distance of 2, divided by the distance in x. Well, that distance is from 2 to 3, so it's a distance of 1. And it's the distance in y divided by the distance in x. So it's 2 divided by 1, which is 2. So the steepness, the gradient, is 2. So what is the equation of the line? Well, the equation of a straight line is in the form y equals mx plus c. M is the gradient, c is the y-intercept. Y and x are referred to the coordinates. So y equals 2x, because the gradient is 2, and then the y-intercept is a positive 2, so y equals 2x plus 2. Now, all of these are equations that you need to know because they are GCSE. So if you have coordinates, 2 coordinates, x1 and y1, x2 and y2, you find the gradient by finding the distance in between the y coordinates and divided by the distance between the x coordinates. If you want to find the midpoint, the coordinate of the midpoint, you would add up the x coordinates and divide by 2 to find the x coordinate, and you'd add up the y coordinates and divide by 2 for the y coordinate of the midpoint. If you want to find the length of a line or the distance between 2 coordinates, you are basically using Pythagoras. So you want to find the distance between these 2 points. So you have the coordinate 8, 3, which is this coordinate, and that coordinate is it 8, 3? No, it's 3, 8, 3, 8, and this one is 2, 6. And you want to find that distance, so you would do 8 take away 6, and that distance is squared, and then you want to find that distance here. So that's 3 take away 2 squared. So that's Pythagoras theorem. And it's Pythagoras theorem on a coordinate grid. So that's the Pythagoras formula. And then other things you need to know is that parallel lines always have equal gradients, and you can compare their gradients when both equations are in that form, y equals mx plus c. and perpendicular lines gradients multiply to make -1. Now, this is a new equation. It is a way of finding out the equation of the line, y equals mx plus c. But we're going to go through that in a minute. This is also something you need to know. It's very easy to use, so this is now much more preferable at this stage to use than y equals mx plus c. So let's have a look at these examples. Firstly, write down the gradient and y-intercept of these lines. This is very much GCSE. The gradient is the coefficient of x, so the gradient is -3. The intercept is the constant, the number on its own, which is c. So c is 2. This has to be rearranged to be in the form y equals mx plus c. Y has to be the subject. The subject has to be positive. So the first thing I would do is I'm going to move the 3y to the other side. I'm going to add 3y effectively. So I've got 4x plus 5 equals 3y. And then I must divide everything by 3. So I've got 4 over 3x plus 5 over 3 equals y. The gradient is the coefficient of x, so the gradient is 4/3, and the intercept is the constant, the number on its own, so it's 5/3. And then this is another GCSE skill. Write these lines in the form ax plus by plus c. Again, the question says plus, but it could be a plus or a minus. It's just the generic way of saying that. So for this question, I need to move y to the other side, so I need to subtract y from both sides. 0 equals 4x minus y plus 3. That one, the first thing I need to do is to multiply by 2 to get rid of that fraction. Generally, they would add a line that says a, b, and c are integers. They are whole numbers. We don't really want fractions. The first thing I do is multiply everything by 2. 2y equals -x plus 10. And then I like x to be positive, so I'm going to add x, and I'm going to also take away 10, because I'm moving the positive 10 to the other side. And now I've got an equation in the form ax plus by plus c. And then I am moving on, and it says the line y equals 4x minus 8 meets the x-axis at the point P. Work out the coordinates of P. So just a reminder, any line, and this is a line with a positive gradient, so it's moving up. It's going to be like this, and it's cut at -y. Any line cuts the x-axis at the coordinate where x has an x coordinate, but the y coordinate is 0. So this y equals 0. Okay, so x-intercepts happen when y equals 0. I'm going to write this down. The line cuts the x-axis at y equals 0. So 0 equals 4x minus 8. I'm going to add 8 to both sides. 8 equals 4x. And I divide both sides by 4. So x equals 2. So if I want the coordinate is 2, 0. Work out the gradient of the line joining both coordinates. Well, this is x1, y1. Please don't do x1, y2. This is the first coordinate, so it's x1, y1, x2, y2. and the gradient is y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. If you're going to reverse the order, you can do y1 minus y2, and you can do x1 minus x2, but keep them the same. Those two have to be either y1 x1 or y2 x2. Don't switch things around because you're going to change the sign. Okay, so we've got 5 minus 7, 4 minus 2. So 5 minus 7 is negative 2, that's 6, so it's negative a third. That's the gradient, negative a third. And again, the line joining coordinates has gradient negative 1, work out the value of a. So again, we're dealing with the gradient formula. So x1, y1, x2, y2. So the gradient is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So I've got a minus 5, 4 minus 2 equals negative 1. A plus 5 divided by 2 equals minus 1. I'm going to multiply by 2 to get rid of this 2. A plus 5 equals negative 2. A equals negative 7 because I'm taking away 5 from both sides. This is the new equation, and you use it when you know the gradient and when you have one coordinate. If you know the gradient and you have one coordinate, you could use y equals mx plus c to find the equation of the line. This is much nicer, much easier, much quicker. So y is a coordinate, you leave it, minus y1. Well, here is y1 and x1. So minus 2 equals m, which is the gradient, times x, which is a coordinate, so you leave those, minus x1. You multiply the bracket, y minus 2 equals 5x minus 15. You add 2 to both sides. The equation of the line is y equals 5x minus 13. So that's the equation of the line. Very nice, very easy, very quick. Find the equation of the line with gradient negative a half that passes through the point negative 2b and 3b. So this is x1, y1. So when the equation says y minus y1 equals m brackets x minus x1. So y minus 3b equals negative a half times x minus 2b, I'm just going to put it as plus 2b. The easiest thing to do here is to multiply by 2, multiply by 2, multiply by 2, and get rid of that fraction straight away, rather than working with a fraction. So that's 2y minus 6b equals negative 1x plus 2b. And at this point, you multiply by negative 1. 2y minus 6b equals negative x minus 2b. And I'm going to move everything to that side, so I'm going to add x and add 2b. And that there. Okay. So I've got an x plus 2y, negative 6b plus 2b is negative 4b equals 0. And that's the equation in the line in the form ax plus by plus c equals 0. And then I'm finding the equation of the line that passes through the points 5, 7, and 3, negative 1. I have to find the gradient first. I don't know the gradient. So the gradient is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So I've got negative 1 minus 7, 3 minus 5. So that's negative 8 over negative 2, which is a positive 4. And then I'm going to use y minus y1 equals x brackets equals m brackets x minus x1, and I'm going to use this coordinate because it doesn't have any negatives. I'm going to use it for x1, y1. It doesn't matter which one you choose. I always choose the coordinate without any negatives if possible. So y minus 7 equals 4x minus 5. I multiply the brackets. Y minus 7 equals 4x minus 20, and then it's negative 20 plus 7 because I'm going to move the negative 7 to that side. So y equals 4x minus 13. That's the equation of the line. And find the equation of the line that passes through these 2 points. Exactly the same thing, it's just not a very nice, not very nice numbers. So the gradient is going to be 3/7 minus a 1/7 over a quarter minus minus, so it becomes a plus 3/4. So that's 2/7, and that's a quarter plus 3/4 is 1, so it is 2/7. 2/7 divided by 1 is 2/7. And then I'm going to use this for y minus y1 equals m brackets x minus x1. So y minus 3/7 equals 2/7 brackets x minus a quarter. And I don't want all of these 7s, so I'm going to multiply by 7, multiply by 7, multiply by 7. So I've got 7y minus 3 equals 2 times x minus a quarter. I'm going to multiply the brackets. So 7y minus 3 equals 2x minus a half. Again, I don't want the division, I don't want the divide by 2, so I'm going to multiply everything by 2. 14y minus 6 equals 4x minus 1. I want to make everything equal to 0, and I want to keep x positive, so 4x minus 14y, because I'm moving the positive 14y that way. And then I'm going to add the 6, because it's a negative 6, so minus 1 add 6 is plus 5. And that's the equation of my line. Right, and we've got a question that says the straight line L passes through A4 and 3A3. An equation of L is x plus 6y plus c equals 0. Find the value of c. Okay. So if I mean, you can pause the video and attempt this question as it says and see where you're going to start. But if I rearrange this equation to make y the subject, I find out what the gradient is. So 6y equals negative x minus c. And if I divide by 6, the gradient is negative a sixth, because of course this is a 1, negative 1 divided by 6. So now I know that the gradient is negative a sixth. I can see how I can apply that. So the gradient is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So that's 3 minus 4 over 3a minus a equals negative a sixth. So that's negative 1 over 2a equals negative a sixth. At this point, you can either multiply up times 2a, or if you're familiar with this method, cross multiply, and I'll show you both. So this is negative 1 equals negative a sixth 2a. That's just multiplying up, multiplying by 2a to get rid of 2a. And then I'm going to divide by negative a sixth. So you've got effectively minus 1 divided by negative a sixth, which is going to be a positive 6, because it's the reciprocal. So it's going to be 6 equals 2a, a equals 3. If you're going to cross multiply, that means you're multiplying those two together and those two together to get rid of both fractions at the same time. So negative 1 times 6 is negative 6. Negative 1 times 2a is negative 2a. You divide both by 2a and you're going to get a is 3. Obviously both get you the same thing. So now I have a is 3. So this means my coordinates are 3, 4, and 9, 3. So I can find what C is. I'm going to choose this. I have got y minus y1 equals mx minus x1. So y minus 4 equals negative a sixth x minus 3. And I'm going to multiply by 6 because I want to get rid of the fraction. So 6y minus 24 equals negative 1 brackets x minus 3. I'm going to multiply by negative 1. 6y minus 24 equals negative x plus 3. I'm going to move everything to the other side because I want x to be positive. That's where it was. So plus x plus 6y. I'm going to take away 3. So it's going to be minus 27 equals 0. Therefore, C is negative 27. So, first step, second step, third step, finding the coordinates, and fourth step. The line y equals 3x minus 9 meets the x-axis at the point A. Find the equation of the line with the gradient 2/3 that passes through the point A. Write your answer in the form ax plus by plus c equals 0, where a, b, and c are integers. So the first thing we need to do is find what point A is. Point A is where the line meets the x-axis. So A is going to have an x coordinate, but y equals 0. So 0 equals 3x minus 9, 9 equals 3x because I'm adding 9, x equals 3. Therefore, point A is 3, 0. So I want to find the equation of that line. Y minus y1 equals mx minus x1. y minus 0, of course, is 0. 2/3 times x minus 3. I want to get rid of that fraction. I can put times 3 here, but 3 times 0 is 0. 3y equals 2 brackets x minus 3. 3y equals 2x minus 6. I want to keep everything, well, I always want to keep x positive, so I'm going to move y this way. 0 equals 2x minus 3y minus 6. And everything is integers, 2, 3, and negative 6. Okay. The lines y equal 4x minus 7 and 2x plus 3y minus 21 equals 0 intersect at point A. The point B has coordinates negative 2, 8. Find the equation of the line that passes through A and B. Write your answer in the form ax plus by plus c equals 0, where a, b, and c are integers. Okay, so we've got two straight lines and they intersect, they cross. That's simultaneous equations. The easiest thing at this stage is to substitute the y. Y is actually 4x minus 7. So instead of y, I'm going to open brackets, I'm going to write 4x minus 7 minus 21 equals 0. And then I'm going to multiply out the brackets. So 2x plus 12x minus 21 minus 21 equals 0. 2x add 12x is 14x. That's minus 42 equals 0. 14x equals 42, and x is going to be 42 divided by 14, which is 3. Now that I've found x, I need to find y, so I substitute it in the easier one in equation 1. Y equals 4 times x, which is 4 times 3, minus 7. So you've got 12 minus 7, which is 5. So the point A, the coordinate A, is 3, 5. I want to find the line that passes through points A and B, and I'm given point B. So A is this and B is minus 2, 8. So I've got x1, y1, x2, y2. First thing I need to do is find the gradient. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So 8 minus 5 is 3. Negative 2 take away 3 is negative 5. So it's negative 3/5. That's the gradient. And then I'm going to use this coordinate, which is the one with no negative numbers, 3, 5, to find the equation of the line. So y minus y1, y minus 5, negative 3/5 times x minus 3. I don't want the fraction, so I'm going to multiply by 5, multiply by 5, and multiply by 5. 5y minus 25 equals negative 3 brackets x minus 3. 5y minus 25 equals, and I'm multiplying the brackets, negative 3x plus 9. I want the x to be positive, so I'm going to add 3x this side. I'm going to subtract 9. So 5y, or actually let me write the x first, positive 3x plus 5y, and I've got negative 25 minus 9, which is minus 34, equals 0. And that's the equation of the line in the form ax plus by plus c. And this one says the lines y equals negative 2x plus 1 and y equals x plus 7 intersect at L. The point M has coordinates negative 3, 1. Find the equation of the line that passes through the points L and M. So they intersect at point L. So again, I need to find the point of intersection. Because they both equal to y, they both equal to each other. 2x plus 1 equals x plus 7. I'm going to add 2x to both sides. So I have 1 equals 3x plus 7. I'm going to subtract 7 from both sides. I have 3x equals negative 6. X equals negative 2. If x equals negative 2, y equals x plus 7. Negative 2 plus 7 is 5. So the point L is negative 2, 5. Again, I can find the equation of the line that passes through both. Firstly, I need to find the gradient. So x1, y1, x2, y2. The gradient is 5 minus 1 over negative 2 minus 3. So this is 4. Negative 2 plus 3 is 1. The gradient is 4. Both coordinates have a negative, so it doesn't really matter which one I use. So y minus 5 equals 4 brackets x minus 2 is x plus 2. So y minus 5 equals 4x plus 8. Y equals 4x, and I'm going to add 5 to both because it's a negative 5. So it's going to be plus 13. And that's the equation of the line. We're starting to now look at parallel lines. A line is parallel to the line 6x plus 3y minus 2 equals 0, and it passes through the point 0, 3. Work out the equation of the line. Well, parallel lines have the same gradient. So the first thing is to work out the gradient of the line, and the only way you can work out the gradient is if the equation is rearranged in the form y equals mx plus c. Make y the subject. Y is already positive, so I'm going to leave it there. 3y equals negative 6x plus 2. I've moved both of these to the other side and changed their sign. Then I'm going to divide by 3, and this is the only bit that I'm interested in because that's the gradient. Therefore, the gradient is negative 2. Now, this point is actually the y-intercept because it cuts x at 0. So I don't really have to do a lot of workings to know that the equation of the line is y equals negative 2x plus 3. You can also write it as y equals 3 minus 2x. You can go through the process and do all of this working. You will still get that because that's the y-intercept. You are given the y-intercept, which is rather nice. So looking at parallel lines and their gradients, just spotting the pattern, this is still, all of this is GCSE, would have been part of the higher paper. Both gradients multiply to make negative 1. So really you want the negative reciprocal of a number. So what multiplies by 4 to give negative 1? Negative a quarter. What multiplies by 7 to give negative 1? Negative a seventh. What multiplies by 8 to give negative 1? Negative an eighth. What about 1? 1 times negative 1 is negative 1. What about negative 6? It's a positive a sixth. It's a positive a half. It's a positive a third. What about the fraction? Well, if it's a positive fraction, the other gradient is going to be a negative whole number, a negative 2. This is going to be a negative 4. This is going to be a negative 5. This is going to be a positive 3. This is going to be a positive 9. It's the reciprocal, the negative reciprocal. One of them is positive, one of them is negative. This is going to be a positive 6. What about something like this? Well, it's going to be a negative because 2/3 is a positive, and the reciprocal of 2/3, 1 divided by 2/3, flips the fraction, so it becomes 3/2. This is negative 5/3. This is positive at 7/2. This is a positive 4/3. And this is going to be a negative a third. Are these lines perpendicular? Well, again, to compare their gradients, you have to rearrange and make make y the subject. This y is negative, so I want to move it to the other side. 3x minus 2 equals y. This y is positive, I'm going to keep it. 3y equals negative x plus 6. This, of course, means negative 1x. I'm going to divide everything by 3. Y equals negative a third x plus 2. That's the gradient, that's the gradient. Now, are they perpendicular? You need to show that you understand that perpendicular gradients multiply to make negative 1. So you say negative 3 times 3 equals negative 1, and then you answer the question, yes, they're perpendicular. So that is really important. Not just the working, but that reasoning and your final conclusion. A line is perpendicular to the line 2y minus x minus 8 equals 0 and passes through the point 5, negative 7. Find the equation of the line. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rearrange the equation to make y the subject. This is, of course, a 1x. I'm dividing everything by 2. So y equals a half x plus 4. The gradient of the first line is a half. So the first gradient, m1, is a half. Therefore, the gradient of the perpendicular, the second gradient, is negative 2. This is x1, y1. So y minus y1 means minus 7, y plus 7 is negative 2x minus 5, and I multiply the brackets. So y plus 7 equals negative 2x plus 10. I want everything, I want x to be positive, so I'm going to move those two here. 2x plus y, 7 take away 10, negative 3 equals 0.